Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, I know it isn't much, but it is something at least. Because Nicola Sturgeon, oh blessed be she of that name, has been slated by the UK COVID inquiry. And this is for impeding the inquiry by deliberately deleting the WhatsApps that she was told not to. And for the secretive Gold Command meetings that reduced government transparency. Now, it's a direct criticism of her personally, as well as other ministers named, including, of course, Freeman, and including John Swinney, the current leader, as well as they also mentioned Useless, the in-betweeny leaderine, as it were. But she, being personally slated, will not please her at all. In fact, it's said to have angered her. She feels like she's being picked on, singled out. Well, absolutely right. Now, the fact that she was so secretive, that she kept these things very close with a very tight-knit group, has been slagged off. There was no political considerations affecting pandemic-related response making. And she was saying that it was also risky to allow residents to leave hospitals and go back into care homes without being tested. Now, that is something, of course, we've dealt with extensively, thanks to the good graces of a good friend of the channel, Leslie, and she as Leslie Roberts. And of course, this has all come out before. We've dealt with this particular problem many times on here with the channel. We've had various people on, but I think most important person that we've had is very good friend of the channel, good friend of mine personally, and that is Leslie Roberts, who's spoken at length several times about the problems with regarding letting people go out of hospital into care homes without being tested. Great personal cost to Leslie, it must be said, with her mother. But you know, these things are being mentioned now, and of course it's all relating to Operation Cooper as well, where the police are investigating both Sturgeon and Freeman and others over this, and to see whether it amounts to corporate homicide. Tens of thousands of people. Were they murdered by the state? And if so, was Sturgeon responsible? I think in my mind, as my personal opinion only, yes. In my mind, I think she is personally responsible for the murder of tens of thousands of people. We've seen evidence of websites being changed. Thankfully, the old website and the new website can be compared, and you can see where, we just want to euthanize old people was there. The use of blanket DNRs and things like that. So it's all ongoing, so it could be quite there. And the very fact that this COVID inquiry is criticising her will be grist to the mill. And it's going to be basically more evidence added and more opinion added as to the illegality and terrible decisions this woman made. But Hallett's report has said that key decision makers, such as her, these are the words of the thing, such as Miss Sturgeon and Mr. Swinney, used private phones for official business throughout the pandemic and to discuss aspects of the response. The use of instant communication channels as part of the decision-making process can compromise that decision-making. It risks decisions being made without decision-makers being properly cited on all relative matters and in the absence of sufficient advice. Well, of course, because that's what they wanted. They didn't want anything official. They wanted to get rid of a load of things and do a lot of things that would otherwise not be allowed or not be politically viable if they'd been out in the open. That's why the SNP are always sneaky. They lie and sneak and keep secret everything because the truth would be so destructive for them. And she added that the use of private channels also makes official record keeping of decision making more difficult and less reliable, which is likely to undermine external scrutiny of decision making, transparency, and ultimately public accountability. That's right, and that's the whole point. The ability of government to comply with its legal obligations, including those under the Public Records Act 1958, in response to freedom of information requests during court processes and in the work of public inquiries, may also be impeded. And at that point, on mentioning that law means that Sturgeon has absolutely and positively broken the law. and for that alone, she needs to be prosecuted. She also said that the use of Gold Command top team also reduced the transparency of the Scottish Government's decision making. The meetings were not minuted, and with her insisting that they were not decision making meetings, but they clearly were, and the report rejects this, saying the use of this informal group diminished the role of the cabinet. We've covered that before in another video. The report also went on, incidentally, to blast the poor relationship between Sturgeon and Boris Johnson. I would suggest that Boris Johnson's to blame partially because he should not have allowed this to become a regional thing. He should have said, no, this is a national emergency. We will run this out of Cobra down in number 10, and the rest of you will do as you're told, and you're not having any kind of input or influence on the decision making. If you'd have done that, well, a lot of things would be better, wouldn't they? But I think Boris just didn't have the balls. I literally think he was ballless on this. We all know that Sturgeon's an awful person, and they would have agreements and saying, right, we'll all tell you this at 6 o'clock, yes, okay, and then she'd run out and do it at 5:30 because she wanted to be first. Scotland's mammy, where they said, oh, we'll keep 10 feet, 6 feet for Scotland. Oh, we'll stop the schools on the 3rd. We'll do it on the 2nd because everything's got to be bigger, faster, harder, you know, because Scotland and all that. And in the end, Boris Johnson actually stopped telling her things, and then she got the ump because he was not bringing her in on meetings. Well, why the hell should she? She was the enemy within. She was a fifth columnist. She was causing more problems than the bloody pandemic. And I do hope, ultimately, that Cooper is successful, that she is prosecuted, and that she spends the rest of her miserable, shitty little life in an 8x6 cell with some bloke called Bubba. That'd be ideal, wouldn't it? I've got to feel sorry for Bubba. But there we go. It's just a terrible decision. But at least now, I know it's not enough, but at least now with the UK inquiry, it is being shown that she's done some terrible things. It is being shown that she breached the rules and it seems breached the law, possibly. Hope so, prosecutor. And it also highlights the fact that people were worse off having Nicola Sturgeon and the lying, secretive shits of the SNP than incompetent fools like Boris Johnson. I mean, incompetence you can forgive, but deliberate evil is not quite as easy to forgive, is it? Especially when it comes in a little shart of shit shape like Nicola Sturgeon, a woman who's never known joy in her life. She can't, can she? She just can't. It's a joyless life. Everybody loathes her. Everybody always has. But there we go. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Till next time, stay safe, stay well. Don't get ill in Scotland. Bye.